Locally owned and operated for over 50 years, Delaware Camera is your #1 spot for all your camera needs, education, accessories, printing, and more. Located at 2635 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. Visit cameraspot.com.
Hey, true believers, Mark from Delaware Camera coming to you from upstairs 4 days before Christmas, 24th, 23rd, 22nd, 21st, 5 days before Christmas, 5 days, right. All right, so 5 days before Christmas, so there's still time to get cameras, accessories, gifts, all sorts of things. So we got a special show today. It's gonna be the Fuji takeover with Kenny and Debbie, our Fuji loyalists that they love Fuji. So they're gonna talk about why they love Fuji and why you should love Fuji too. Because Fuji is one of many lines that we carry in the store. So a few housekeeping things as we normally do. We have a class Thursday. It's a Zoom class. It's what to shoot when there's nothing to shoot, sponsored by Canon. It's Thursday at 7. It is free, but you have to register to get the link for the class so you can participate and get some inspiration, because I know a lot of people have some downtime the next couple of weeks. So get out there and shoot, because that's what we're here to do. So Thursday at 7, if you go to our website, there's a link on there for classes, and you can sign up there. We have some other classes coming up. Joe Klosek is going to come back to some classes. We've got a basic class and a bunch of other classes coming up in January and February. So be on the lookout for those as well. They're going to be on our Eventbrite page. So if you click on that same link where the Canon class is, those are there as well. So if you want to sign up for those classes, they are $39, I think, but they're great classes. Joe is a great teacher, and if you watch this show, I think Joe was on a few episodes ago talking about the class. So if you want to check it out, see what Joe's all about, go back to the show where he talked about his classes. I don't know which number that was. What number was that, producer Will? 3 or 4 ago, but check it out. Go to cameraspot.tv or go to our Instagram page. It's there. No, it's not an Instagram page because it was CameraSpot TV, so it won't be an Instagram page. The interview will be on CameraSpot TV. So we have a toy drive for Gateway Longview. We got a box downstairs that's starting to fill up. If you have any toys, new unwrapped toys, bring them down. Debbie is taking them to Gateway on Thursday, right? So get them here by the close tomorrow or early Thursday morning if you want to help out some kids who are in need, because it's important this time of year to help out people who are in need. I told you about those classes. We have classes coming up in January with Joe Klosek. We're trying to get some in-person classes together. I know people have been asking for them, but we are talking to our teachers about doing those, and they're coming soon. So keep an eye out if you want in-person classes. We are here Christmas Eve from 10 to 5, so last-minute gifts, presents, all that stuff. Speaking of last-minute gifts, we have some last-minute gift suggestions that producer Will's gonna throw. We got ProMaster gloves. These are cool. The finger comes out of these, so you can use your camera in the cold, and touchscreens in the cold too. So if you have a phone, you can use that. You can use that in the cold and not have to worry about anything happening there. Oh, we've got these capturing couture straps, which are very fashionable. I know Debbie loves these straps, and we have a whole variety of these. They have some scarf ones. We got these, very cool and very fashionable for a gift this year. You know, normally we have these black straps, which are very normal. These aren't normal. These are cool. It's a whole variety of these kind of cool straps. What else do we have as far as gifts, Will? We have this cell phone mount. Mackenzie's great, man. I love Mackenzie. So anyway, camera mount for your cell phone. So this will fit on anything with a quarter 20. So if you have that, if you have a tripod, this will go right on top of there. You can move it up and down, fit your cell phone on there, and become a vlogger today. Anyway, last but not least, as far as gifts, our intern Rooney's gonna bring this over. So we have these gift cards. So we have them for any amount. If you don't know what to buy for someone or something's not available right now, a gift card is a great gift for someone who needs a camera styled gift or camera flavored gift. What do you say? Styled gift, flavored, what do we got? like flavored. So any amount, you know, a lot of people, you know, 50, 100, a couple hundred. What's that? Am I? My hands are messed up. My dog bit my hand like last year. It's not good. Look at that. Not good. Anyway, so I'm gonna step out of here in a minute because we have Kenny and Debbie coming on. But next week, artist profile, Katie Addo. She's gonna come on and talk to us about her business, her backgrounds that she makes, and all sorts of cool stuff. So next Tuesday at noon, we will have that. But I think we'll go to a short break, and then Kenny and Debbie will come on and tell you about why they love Fuji cameras.
You guys, oops.
Fine. I don't have a mic on. There we go.
So
Now you can hear us, I think. Instagram got all of that.
So I find it for a 5x7.
Nope.
Covered
Did Mark
up.
take it?
On this one, we were able to get a little border around it.
Mark might have taken the mic downstairs.
Borders like
Maybe we can both be heard.
Yeah, we don't really have mats for frames
That's
at all.
exactly
We'll
it.
try it.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So then,
How's that?
I guess I got to go with
What do you think,
another
Will?
one of these.
Good?
Same size?
Yeah.
All right. So,
What about the other
Kenny and I
ones?
were supposed to take over all of this today.
Same size?
But
Yeah,
Mark
one of those,
decided he
same
was going to
size,
do some
one of those,
housekeeping.
same
But
size,
now
one of
here
those.
we are to talk about
Three of
our
these.
Okay.
love of Fuji. So, what do you love most about
One of
Fuji?
those.
So I have to say I love the colors that you can get with Fujifilm cameras.
All right,
That
what's your last
is
name,
what
sir?
drew me to the cameras in the first place. Besides that, I think that they just look very nice
And what
aesthetically.
is your phone
I
number?
love
536
the manual dials
16.
for shutter speed, aperture,
Okay, we
ISO.
shoot right tomorrow afternoon.
What about you? What do you love about Fuji?
I'm right there with you on the colors. I love
Oh, yeah.
the pixel optimization that Fuji does. I like to shoot.
Thank you. All right.
I don't know
Let's-
what a word I get you, but
yeah.
And,
So is this one gonna, the new one? You want the
makes
border
it
on the new
so
one?
That I can.
Because you could make an 8 by 10 and crop it a little bit. And,
On my
well,
photos.
here this is the third
So
time. What
I'm
happened
gonna
was,
just grab
Yeah.
some of them got
my wonderful
and
little
then it
Fuji
looked
X-T3
so-
out
Okay.
and show
No
off
problem.
the dials that
You
Kenny's
got it.
talking
And you got
about.
that one color.
yeah, I wrote it. I put it in an envelope. So
Amazing,
Oh, okay.
manual style dials that we remember
3 copies
from,
of this one.
you know,
Okay,
back in the day.
Yeah, you got
Most
Yeah,
of
well
us are
set.
probably shooting in the
I can help you over here.
80s, 70s, 60s, you know.
Your last name?
But the manual cameras all had these dials that you then had to go in and make sure that you were really taking charge of your photos. And I do love that Fuji does that as well.
Yeah, of course. And so those aren't going to be on every single camera, but we so happen to have both cameras from the XT series. So you have the XT3, I have the XT4, and that line specifically, they kind of go out of their way to make sure that that's implemented into these cameras. Some of them are more different program modes. So thank you.
Yay, Rooney, to the rescue.
Shout out to Rooney.
Rooney is our newer intern, and we absolutely adore having her here. So thank you for joining us, Rooney.
Yeah, so let's get into the nitty gritty
Yeah.
about Fujifilm
Fuji.
a little bit here. So what sets Fujifilm aside from some of the other camera companies out there like Sony or Nikon or Canon?
I feel that Fuji has a better color palette. Everything is very lush, it's very deep, and it's very vibrant. I don't find the other companies to be quite as vibrant as Fuji is. I also love what's called Fuji recipes, which you know a lot about also. Fuji recipes are how you input different settings into your camera for customization, but Fuji lets you customize everything. So you can do almost anything that you want in your camera to get whatever look you're looking for. So if I'm looking for that wonderful gritty 70s CBGB feel, I can go and look up a recipe and put it into my camera, and it's going to output that feel.
Yeah, so a couple things that I think sets Fuji aside. So from what I gather, they have an APS-C size sensor in their X series cameras, and so what that means is it's a crop sensor. And we won't get into all the nitty gritty about APS-C versus full frame today. But
that's a show for another day because that's a full show. But if you have any questions about the differences, call us. We're happy to talk about it. It's just more time than we have right now.
But anyways, the sensor that they have in here actually sets itself aside from some of the other sensors and some of the other cameras. This is the X-Trans sensor, so the array of the RGB pixels that take in light, they're actually in a different order than a lot of the other camera sensors, and so it's able to interpret light in a different way than some of these other sensors. That's what makes the Fuji colors really pop, and what makes these sensors so competitive against even some full frame cameras, which I know some people would argue against. But they're definitely, I would say, at least leading the charge of APS-C size cameras.
Honestly, I don't miss having a full frame at all because of that pixel optimization. It really takes my photos and tightens them up and makes it so that I can really work with every single pixel in that photo.
So tell me a bit about how do you use your camera? What is your workflow like, and what kind of features that Fuji offers do you find yourself using inside of your workflow?
So, not to be too tongue-in-cheek, but I'm kind of an active shooter. Sorry, that was bad. But I move all the time. So I have my Peak Design strap on my go-to camera. I know it's not one of the Couture straps, but that's on my film camera. I don't sit down. I like being up. I like being in the middle of everything so that I can get the shots that I'm really looking for, which are those intimate fashion shots. On my camera, I have the Fujinon 656 Macro 1.2. I love using a macro lens for fashion photography or event photography because it gives my subject their own position in that photo. So I'd say that's pretty much my go-to style is fashion medium format. I like shooting from the hip. I shoot down here. One of the best things about the X-T3 that I'm shooting with, and hopefully when I can get the X-T5, is that it has a trifold mirror, which means it just pops up and out so that I can shoot and get the angles down here without having to be on the ground. What about you? I know we have very different styles in shooting. So what is your preferred method?
Sure, yeah. So I'm a big film shooter. Most of the time you'll see me out there with my Pentax 6.7 or something along those lines, but I do like to take my X-T4 out for a walk as well. I like to do more street photography, slice of life, I guess is a word that or a phrase I would use to describe it. So I actually rely pretty heavily upon the straight out of camera JPEGs at this point, because I spend so much time working on my film photos that when I'm shooting my Fuji, I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time in post-processing. So like you said, I've relied upon a lot of those recipes, where you're taking some of these film simulations that Fuji has customized into the camera, and then you're further customizing them to replicate other film stocks. I personally have, I think, all the Portras. I think I have Portra 160, 400, 800. I know I have Ektar in there. I know I have Cinestill. I think I have a Kodachrome in there. And I have a tweaked Velvia recipe that makes stuff pop a little bit more too. And I'll basically, depending on the vibe of the day, I will choose a film stock, and I'll go and I'll kind of pretend like I am shooting film. Sometimes with the X-T4, it's got a flip out screen here, but I'll just kind of fold the screen away and just use my viewfinder and go out and shoot. And I do my best to not even review any pictures as I'm shooting. That way it's a little more fun to look at them all at the end. And so yeah, that's what I would say I do mostly. Besides that, I also use this camera to scan my film, and I found that I get really nice results from that X-Trans sensor, and its portrayal of the light and the colors and the detail of my film.
You know, it's so very interesting to me because Kenny and I really both have an insane love of Fuji. We're both film shooters, but I tend to like more of the cyberpunk look, where you tend to like more of the vintage look. And I love seeing the two styles kind of come together. And I know Will's got some of our pictures that he's going to put up too, so you can kind of get the feel for how different our styles really are. And it's just, it's so cool that you can do this in, no, I was just saying that it's very interesting to me that we can do this all in Fuji bodies, and I'm doing more of a futuristic style in an older camera, and you're doing more of a vintage style in a newer camera.
Yeah, I mean,
It was muted.
Oh,
oopsie daisy.
Mark must have muted it when he took it
Thanks again.
downstairs.
All right. Yeah, so anyways, a couple other things I would say that I really love about my camera specifically, which I have the X-T4, no longer the newest in the XT series, but you know, it's still a great camera and holds its own in terms of the video specs that it offers. It's really nice to have IBIS in the camera. I'm able to shoot at some slower shutter speeds and not really worry about, you know, a little bit of handshake or stuff like that. I also really like the weather sealing. I maybe take a few more risks than some of my coworkers might, and I like to go out in the rain and in the snow, especially the snow lately. We've been having some great storms, and it's just a nice peace of mind to know that my camera body is weather sealed and my lens is also weather sealed. So I think that those are some features that really lend themselves to the kind of photography that I do.
Which is awesome, because I don't do weather. I'm gonna take some bubble pictures, but that's like 5 minutes out in the cold and then I'm done. I am not a extreme weather kind of person myself. So I would rather be inside than outside.
So let's talk a little bit about where Fuji is heading.
Yeah.
So we had a couple new cameras come out, right? What were the cameras that we've had recently?
The H2S and the X-T5 just came out.
And the XH2, yeah.
And the
well.
XH2. The XH2 is their film camera. The XT5 is more a photography camera. It seems the company is kind of trying to separate the two and give them their best opportunities for each different style.
So I think the XH2S, I believe it has around a 26 megapixel sensor, but what's different about this sensor is it's a stacked sensor. And it really lends itself to some really awesome video capabilities, which is really cool to see Fuji kind of digging into that, especially with, you know, an APS-C size sensor. In terms of the XH2 and XT5, those both have, I believe it's around a 40 megapixel sensor, which is really impressive that they were able to stuff all those megapixels into the APS-C size sensor. Like you said, their management of pixels in space is getting really good. So
it's just incredible. They have just really focused on pixel management in their cameras, and I think it really lends to how they can offer, like you said, the megapixels in their crop sensor cameras. However, I think it's also very interesting on how they can optimize it for video versus photography too.
Yeah, and I know one of the things that we've all been looking for that they've been making some leaps in as well is improved autofocus and autofocus tracking. I've heard that the results from some of these new cameras are quite impressive, and they've really been making some leaps ahead in that. So that's really awesome to see. They have improved light sensitivity, lower base ISO, higher, I believe a higher ISO overall capability. But yeah, it's really exciting to see how with every new camera they release, they come closer to competing with some of these full frame competitors.
Yeah, and I think the XH2, if I remember correctly, is shooting at 4K fluidly. 6K you can do, which is again incredible because it's a crop sensor camera. They're just doing wonderful things.
So the other thing we should mention, because Fuji doesn't just do crop sensor cameras, they also have a medium format line of cameras, the GFX line, which I can't really speak to too much myself. I have never shot with one, but I've seen the pictures from them and they're incredible. From what I gather, it just seems like the full frame market was pretty flooded and pretty competitive. And so Fuji tried to use their money and their resources to hit the markets that they could hit, APS-C and medium format. I
think that's one thing that Fuji has always done well too, because they started with their lenses with the aspherical lenses, and they're really just very innovative. So producer Will is telling us we got to wrap it up.
No, I was saying check your phone. I sent you some information.
Information. Oh man, I don't understand these cues. I will check my phone.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about a couple of the accessories that I have on my camera right now, because I love accessories. I love building my camera out a bit to make it feel more comfortable to shoot with. I know this is about Fuji, but it's Fuji accessories, I guess. So anyways, I've got the XT4, Fuji XT4. I've got the 35 f2 lens on my camera, and I've got I think it's a Heoge lens hood on there, and Pro Mist filter on the lens itself. These are all accessories that stay on all the time. We've got a Peak Design strap, the leash, that's on there at all times. The anchors stay on at all times. And nice. I've got this hand grip to beef up the camera a little bit, make it a little easier to hold on to. And boy, I love how this thing feels. I love shooting with it.
Who did you send it to? Just like my texts? It's not there.
6.2K.
6.2K. Oh, yeah. See, I knew I had heard that. Okay, so Will just laid some truth on us at 6.2K for the XH2. Yeah, that's insane. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, so I guess,
So let me ask you, Kenny, real quick. Since we don't have to wrap up, we're just getting information. Your Peak Design strap, what do you like about the thinner strap over a thicker, like, sling strap?
yes, well, the camera is pretty small and pretty light, and I really just don't feel that I need a big strap to support it, because it's not that much of a burden on me, and I'm more of a minimalist, I would say. So the leash does everything I need and more, and it doesn't rub on my neck, anything like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, you can see I've got a Peak Design too, but I have a sling so I can carry it crossbody. But you can see it's got a really heavy, solid base. But that's so that I can wear it crossbody and it's not going to really rub on my shoulder, because I'm not wearing it around my neck. So just so you're aware, I ask these questions all the time. This is not for you guys. I'm just like, why do you do these things? And I do recommend to anyone, if you're curious about anything, ask about it. Especially for any of the staff here at Delaware. We are always happy to talk about our passion in cameras and photography in general. So,
so I guess what I'll jump into here next and would be what we have to offer for Fujifilm in the store. We do carry new Fujifilm cameras and lenses. They've been selling like hotcakes, people. So
we do not have any X-T5s in stock right now.
We've had them though.
We had them.
If you want to get on our special order list, we can get it in, hopefully, and we can get that into your hands. But also, if you're looking to maybe try out the Fuji line and see if it's something that might work with you, we do rent the Fuji X-T4 as well, and we have a few different lenses that we offer to rent along with that. I'm always trying to get these cameras into people's hands so they can try them out and see if it works for them. I know it worked for me, so if you're interested at all, you can talk to most of the staff and we'll know a little bit about Fuji. So
if not, me and Kenny will definitely know about it, and we're kind of on opposite shifts, so there will be somebody who knows Fuji pretty much all the time. What about the non-cool Fuji stuff? I think that's cool. Fujifilm, like there's a lot of Fuji actual film stock that we have. We have we have 3 packs of Fujifilm 200 and Fujifilm 400. Let's see if my mouth can work. Which is a really cost-effective way to get into film too. They've been doing it forever. They have nice, wonderfully cool colors in their film. So right now, where it's nice and crisp and cold out, you can get some really amazing shots out of your Fujifilm.
Yeah, I guess I thought you were heading somewhere else with what you were saying, the not cool stuff. I guess, to be fair, do you have any criticisms of Fujifilm, of their cameras, of your use of the X-T3?
For the X-T3, I mean, I love this camera. I wish it did have a bit of a higher megapixel, which the X-T5 fixes. The autofocus is really hard to deal with. Now, Fuji is not known for their autofocus, but in the X-T3 specifically, it can be a little slow, or if you hit the wrong button, it will just turn off sometimes, and that can be frustrating. Yep. However, as long as you're paying attention to what you're doing in your camera, like you would a manual camera, it really doesn't seem to be too much of a problem for me. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think with the X-T4, the autofocusing system is something that I've struggled with at times. I really have just moved to choosing the single point and selecting my point. I don't really rely on the camera to be able to pick the subject that often. Although I don't do that much video. I think if I did video, I would need to do that. And I know that it's definitely something that is very usable, and people have success with that. But I found myself pretty much just shooting in single point. So that is something. Besides that,
now I have to say that's not a flaw in Fuji, because they really have dedicated themselves to having a manual digital and mirrorless camera. So they're relying on you not relying on the autofocus to use their cameras, because everything really is kind of set up to be manual.
well, yeah, and then also from what I understand, they have made leaps and bounds with some of the new autofocusing systems. So if you do come in and, you know, get like a XH2,
the XT5, yeah, the XT5 really has just
you should see some
blown it out of the
improvements in
water. I want this camera so much. You know, Christmas is coming, guys. I would like the XT5. If you wanted to come in and buy it, you could just gift it to me.
I guess the other thing I would say is perhaps low light performance isn't always where I want it to be. It was a little bit tougher when I was shooting. The kit lens that I have for this is a 16 to 80 f4 kit lens, and when I was using that lens, I found myself struggling with some of the low light scenarios. I would be shooting at a really slow shutter speed, and I just wouldn't quite get the level of detail that I was hoping to get if I was pixel peeping. But you know, moving to this lens, which isn't even really one of the fastest lenses that Fuji has, it's an f2, but that has improved shooting in low light a lot for me. So I can only imagine if I had. I'm jealous of your 56. That's on my. That's
it's
on
my
my
favorite
list.
lens at this point.
It's on my list, but yeah. Besides that, I couldn't really say much. I love this camera, and it really hasn't left me wanting.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way about Fuji. It's I love the camera. It hasn't left me wanting. All of even the bad things that we've mentioned are not nearly anywhere as bad as they sound when you say it. Will is ready for us to wrap up. I think he'd like to go home. I'd like to go home. I have to go bake and finish decorating for Christmas. Don't forget the toy drive. The kids at Gateway Longview are absolutely exceptional and really deserve a wonderful Christmas. So if you have a chance today or tomorrow, stop in, drop off a toy. We've got a box by the front door by the Christmas tree. Other than that, stop in and see us. We're going to be here right through Christmas Eve. I know we're all planning on being here on Christmas Eve. If you want to bring us cookies, you're more than welcome to. I won't say no. Kenny would like vegan cookies, so if you could bring them vegan cookies, that would be amazing. Merry Christmas to Will and everyone out there.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm losing my hat. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And goodbye. Next week.
The backdrop.
The
backdrop.
Oh yeah. What we're doing hand painted backdrops. What was her name?
I don't know. I'm really excited to see those. Those sound sick.
I got stuck on the hand painted backdrops. We will put up her information so that everyone can see it. I apologize that I don't remember. I was too excited about somebody doing this. All right, guys.
Locally owned and operated for over 50 years, Delaware Camera is your #1 spot for all your camera needs: education, accessories, printing, and more. Located at 2635 Delaware Avenue in Buffalo. Visit cameraspot.com.